Isaac? Isaac Newton, is that you? Oh my God, it's been ages. Do you remember me? Yes, we worked together. Yeah, we studied together. Yeah, we were tutored together. Do you remember me? Well, that's all right. That's all right. Are you all right? I'm noticing. Please tell me if I'm a little, a little overbearing. But I have noticed that you're bleeding a little. There's a little bit of, you have a bump on your head, and there's a little bit of blood, like right there. Are you all right? An apple fell on you. Interesting. And you feel like you've had an epiphany. I see. Well, listen, I'm not a doctor, but I do know a thing or two, and what you're saying, I'm a little skeptical. Okay, well, how about I treat you, let me fix you up, we've been friends, you might not remember me, but we have been friends for a very long time, and, I do still have fond memories of us together, so I will take care of you, and then you can tell me all about, this epiphany that you've had, this, like, theory that you're sort of coming up with. This is what you're telling me? Yeah, okay, well, First thing that I remember in my studies is to get a little bit of information. So how are you feeling? Do you feel dizzy at all? Okay, you feel a little bit dizzy. Totally. And do you feel, I suppose I should ask you, some important, so what year do you think it is? Okay, it's definitely not. We are not in the 2000s. That's really far away. Okay, and what country are we in? This is incorrect. Okay, and what is your full name? Do you remember? Because I do. Yes, Isaac Newton. Okay, you do remember your name at least. Do you remember who you were named after? Your dead father. Absolutely. Yes, you told me all of this. Okay, perfect. I suppose, you're a little confused, but you do remember who you are. So I don't think that that's really a problem. So let me go ahead and just think about what to do about this wound, right? So I see a little bit of blood. I see, a little bit of a wound. Your hair is in the way, thankfully. It's thinning, so it's not really a problem. I can sort of see it, so let me see if I have something for that. Okay, so I think the first thing that we should do is wipe off the blood, right? Because if we do that, then we'll have a clearer view. So I'm just going to head and use this, so please stay still for me, Isaac. Okay. Just... There we go. Yes, I'm just wiping the blood away here. So, Isaac, how have you been? Tell me about this theory. Okay, it's sort of a... Okay, so something like gravity. Interesting. Are you certain this didn't hurt, didn't knock your head around? Okay. Well, tell me more. Okay. So what I'm understanding is that you're sort of coming up with this idea that, the larger an object's mass, then the, how do you say it? It attracts other objects, and so there's a natural attraction. I don't know if that's incorrect. That doesn't seem right. So here's what I think we should do. How about we discuss things that have been ailing you emotionally? Perhaps that will ground you a bit more in your life, and you can get these flights of fancy out of your head, yeah? Okay, so let's talk about your father. Are you upset that he died before you were born? understand. It's sort of, you're a little upset that you were named after someone that you never got to meet, right? Well, you have to think of it this way. He did impart upon you some of himself. That's how you were born, after all. So, you have to, give him that at the very least. But, he went ahead and died. So, he kind of was a neglectful father, wouldn't you say? Okay, I've gotten some of the blood. So, we don't need to do that anymore. I'm going to go ahead and cut some of your hair. Now, it's going to be okay. It will regrow. Just because it's thinning doesn't mean that you're going bald, alright? I understand that people of this era, we have wigs. Wigs are here for a reason. And, I've always asked you this question, but when will you wear wigs? Right? So, let's just go ahead and cut some of this hair. Perhaps it will make you want to wear some wigs, alright? So, let's go ahead. Let's see. Where are my scissors? Yes, I do carry around some tools. You know me, I've always been a little bit paranoid. You never know when I need something, so I've got a few just nice scissors. They can be good for sutures. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut your hair just so I can see the wound itself, because even though it's not bleeding profusely, it's sort of leaking a little bit of blood, and just because I've wiped some of it away doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to stay that way. So we need to go ahead and get in there. Alright, so okay, perfect. So we've established your father, of course, dead before you were born. Let's talk about your mother. How do you feel about your mother? Are you happy with your mother? No. Okay, interesting. Okay, so it's not really about your mother, it's about your stepfather that you feel like they've been a little bit neglectful as you were growing up. We were tutored in the same place, and, it wasn't really inexpensive, so I would say that perhaps it wasn't oh, I see, she didn't pay for it, and he didn't pay for it. Okay, well, what I will say is that sometimes, you take out some, it's a very classic dynamic, I would say, being upset at a stepfather, sort of a step parent being the, sort of the evil villain. Perhaps some of your anger towards this person, should be directed towards, your mother, right? Perhaps she has neglected you, left you, right, to fend for yourself while you sort of dealing with things, right? So I'm just sort of, wondering if you've thought about any of that, and how are you going to discover, or as you put it, discover the concept of gravity if you haven't made up with your mother? This is not something that's unheard of, is what I say. Okay, so I'm cutting away most of your hair, and I've had to dig a bit deeper here just to get it out, but it does seem like it's mostly gone. So that's good, right? No more hair for you. I do see the wound here, so let me go ahead and get a good look at it, but I do need to use a few wooden tools here because I don't want to dirty my hands. I really don't like it when my hands are dirty, plus I do think it's bad for my hands to sort of touch the wound. So let's just go ahead and I'm just going to open it right here, and okay, there. So how is that looking? It does look like it's a slightly deep wound. I'm going to have to sort of get your here. Yeah, if I squeeze a little here, yeah, okay, yeah, totally. So what I'm seeing, as a consummate professional, is that your wound, in fact, is a bit too open, so you need to shut it closed. I don't have anything to sort of glue it or sew it closed, so I think I'm going to have to hammer it closed. What we're going to do is we're going to create fractures along your skull, and then just rearrange the fragments so that the healing process can happen across multiple lines and not just the one big gash, right? And so what's going to happen with that is that it's going to be very, very, very painful. But it will heal better and blood won't be gushing out. The only issue is that over time it does lead to a slightly weaker skull. But, thankfully, or hopefully rather, is what I should say, it will also right whatever's gone wrong in your head, right? So let's just go ahead. I'm just going to... I'm testing the wound right here. Just trying to figure out just how deep it goes. So I'm putting this wooden stick in, and I'm tapping it to see how deep it goes. Okay. Okay, it's pretty deep. I'd say right about here. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. So I have a few things to deal with this then. Okay. So I have here a nice hammer, which is going to have a little bit of, skull fracturing. There's no need to worry. It does hurt. Do you want something for it? I do dabble in a little bit of alchemy. So I do have a little bit of serum that could help if you are wanting. Okay, so you do want some of the serum. Okay, absolutely. Now, the problem with the serum is that it really doesn't want to get out, so I really need to do this. But in the meantime, really think about your mother. You're still on about this gravity situation. Well, okay, tell me about what happened then. You said an apple fell out of a tree. And perhaps if you think about the situation, you might, in fact, learn that you are hallucinating, and you are a little delusional. Okay. So, just going to go ahead and do that. You tell me about the situation. Okay, and then just there, a little bit there. Yeah. I know it's not a pretty serum, but it will. Okay, and then just. Okay, and then a little bit, and then. Okay, and then just. That's really good. Okay, a bit more. Okay, yeah. Okay, perfect. All right, so. An apple fell on your head while you were napping. Are you sure an apple fell on your head? This is a really deep cut for an apple, Okay. Well, you know what? Sure. I will indulge your flights of fancy. I just think that perhaps you should think about logic. So let's go ahead and use the hammer here. Okay, so you ready? Okay, so I have here something. I have this wooden sheet. This is going to be very helpful because it will stabilize your head so that I can smack in precise places so to get the desired fracture. Okay, so and this is of course the most modern medicine. You wouldn't have heard of it. So. Okay, and then okay, and then okay. So right now. You're probably wondering what I'm doing, right? So what I'm doing is I'm testing different parts, seeing what part is the hollowest, right? Sort of like knocking on a wall to see if it's hollow, right? I'm knocking to see just how affected your brain is. And then from there, I'll find the hollowest part and then I'll give it a good smack, okay? So, think, oh, right there. I think that's pretty good. Okay, so, ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, perfect. Let's do the other side here then. So, over here, let's go ahead and... Okay, just trying to find that nice hollow spot, you know. I think that I need to find it, because if I don't, then, you know, I might actually injure you more. You know, doing these things, you know, these experiments, I think is a little bit risky, I have to say. But, okay, right here. Okay, ready? 1, 2, and 3. Wonderful. Okay, so from here I need to rearrange, so I need to be quick. All right, ready? So just rearranging these fragments here. Here. Just trying to get it all. A small skull fragment fell out. Let me just put it back. Okay, wonderful. All right. So, how are you feeling now? Yes, I'm in the middle of it, but I do have to ask you. Okay, you're feeling all right. Okay, perfect. I think I've arranged everything properly. So take a deep breath and release. Take a deep breath and release. Okay, see how you're feeling. Does your head feel clearer? It's a bit more cloudy. You know what? That's a common side effect for this procedure. I'm fairly certain. So what we're going to have to do now, of course, is just give you a bit more ointment. Let's see. Not the same ointment, mind you. No. This is going to act as a little bit of a shell. You know, because really, what I think happened is perhaps when the apple fell, you know, as everyone knows here, it's a common fact that Eve did eat the apple, right? And an apple fell on your head, right? So perhaps you caught a little bit of the hysteria that women tend to have in this day and age. And to be honest, you know, it's a dreadful disease that is completely not made up by the men of society to disregard women's feelings. Absolutely not. So I think that the original sin of Eve eating the apple has transported itself into your head, and so I think that if it's still in there, we should at the very least create a nice barrier, right? I rearranged all the skull fragments, and so we're going to create a nice barrier for you, so that at least all the hysteria stays in there. We just keep it in there and you just don't talk about it, okay? Alright, so let's go ahead and I think this will work. Yes. Alright, so here's what we're going to have to do. I'm going to have to put a bunch of this on. So let's just, yes, there we go. Okay, so from there, now that I've done that, I need to spread it around. But first I need to put this back, and then I'm just going to spread it over your skull. Spread it over your skull. Absolutely, yes. So we're going to keep all of that bad, all of the hysteria in there. Perfect, absolutely. Yes. Okay. Wonderful. So now how are you feeling? You need a little bit of a rest. You know what? You can take all of the rest that you need, okay? I will leave you with this. It is medicine, as you can see. And what you're going to have to do with this is you're going to have to drink it. Just a little sip once a day. It is, and of course, it's medicine, right? I believe it's a chamomile brew. And what it'll do is help with sleep, and it will help sort of relieve a lot of that worry. So I'm going to keep that for you. Yes, I may have seen you, and I may have treated you, but remember, I'm not a fully trained doctor, so I just dabble in these things. Okay, so let's just go ahead. I'm going to ask you a few more questions now, because what we're going to need to understand here is that because now that I've treated you, I need to know that you've actually been treated. So let's ask again. What is this theory that you've created? Okay, you're still on it. Okay, so I didn't solve that problem. Your full name? You knew that before, that's good. And do you know why you were named that? Okay, you've sort of forgotten that. Okay, well, no harm, no foul there. How about... Do you remember who I am? Okay. Wonderful. Okay, it does seem like I didn't really help you all that much, but I do think that the hysteria staying in there with the original sin, I think is pretty important, right? So, Mr. Isaac Newton, I think that you are going to be just fine, okay? Alright then. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.